Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into a really tough story. It's about Saniyah Cheatham, an 18-year-old who died unexpectedly while in NYPD custody.
Yeah, it happened right after the 4th of July, on July 5th. She'd been at a family celebration just hours before.
Exactly. Saniyah was a college student, seemed to have everything ahead of her, and her death, well, it's understandably led to a lot of questions and demands for transparency from her family, from the community.
Absolutely. So for this deep dive, we've looked at, various news reports, listened to what the community is saying as this story unfolds.
Our goal here is to really unpack what happened in Saniyah's last hours, look at the different stories coming from the police, and understand why her family is pushing so hard for answers.
We want to help you get a handle on the key issues, the big questions that are still just hanging there.
So let's start with Saniyah herself. Before all this happened, people described her as, well, really vibrant, just 18.
Her family even called her a baby, not a woman. She was doing well at Bronx Community College, an A student, liked writing.
Sounds like a great kid. Her personality, sources said she was very loving, sweet, smart.
Outgoing, even silly sometimes. Her mom called her my only daughter, my little precious, her angel. It's really heartbreaking when you hear that.
Especially when you see the pictures from just hours before. Smiling, having fun at a family cookout in Crotona Park on July 4th.
Right. That contrast is just stark.
So what happened after the cookout? How did she end up arrested?
Well, the reports indicate she got into a physical fight with her girlfriend later that day. And both of them were arrested for disorderly conduct.
Okay. And her brother mentioned she wasn't really a fighter. This was her first arrest ever.
Yeah, that's a key point. No prior experience with the system. It really adds another layer to the tragedy,
Yeah.
going from a family party to suddenly being in custody.
It really does. It sets the stage for, well, for what came next.
Which is incredibly disturbing.
So inside the precinct, what do we know?
Around 12:40 in the morning, Saturday, July 5th, she was found inside a cell at the 41st Precinct in the Bronx, unconscious, lifeless.
Officers apparently tried CPR, and EMS took her to Lincoln Hospital.
That's the report. But she was pronounced dead at the hospital.
And this is where the stories start to diverge immediately.
Right away. The police initially told News 12 she died by suicide in the cell.
Suicide. And the family says officers told them something specific.
Yes, they said officers told them she suspended herself or hung herself with a sweater.
A sweater, but the family pushed back on that immediately.
Instantly. Her mother, Saniyah Cheatham, was very clear. Saniyah did not have on a sweater that day.
So that detail just didn't add up for them at all. It made the whole story feel wrong.
Exactly. They felt it just didn't make sense. They suspected maybe she was roughed her up or somehow hurt.
That initial contradiction, something as simple as a piece of clothing, it really damaged trust right from the start, didn't it?
Absolutely. And it wasn't the only shift. After the suicide claim, police then told News 12 it was a medical emergency.
Okay, so first suicide, then medical emergency.
And then they started calling the death suspicious.
Wow. 3 different labels in a short amount of time. For a grieving family, I can't even imagine.
It just fueled their questions, obviously. What happened to Saniyah? How did it happen? And why wasn't this prevented? Those are the core questions they keep asking.
And their main demand through all this has been pretty consistent, hasn't it?
Very consistent. They want the video, surveillance footage from the precinct, from inside the cell specifically, and the body cam footage from the arresting officers.
Just show the video. That's been their message.
Repeatedly. It's about getting actual evidence to see what really occurred instead of relying on these changing accounts.
And they've brought in legal help to push for that?
Yes, they hired attorney Ben Crump. He's very well known for handling cases like this involving deaths in police custody. It shows they're really determined to get answers.
Understandable. And the community, how have they reacted?
They've really shown up for the family, rallies outside the 41st Precinct, activists, friends, community leaders.
Yeah.
Dozens of people.
Standing in solidarity. What's the feeling at these rallies?
Calls for justice, definitely. Chants like, what do we want? Justice. And say her name, Saniyah Cheatham.
And the police response to the protests?
Well, they put up temporary fencing outside the precinct, which, suggests they were anticipating more protests, that tensions were high.
It speaks volumes. And activists aren't just protesting, they're calling for action.
Yeah, urging people to contact legislators, community leaders, to demand real investigations, real checks and balances from elected officials.
It's not just about this one case for them, is it?
No, it seems like they're pushing for broader accountability, making sure people who do wrong are held responsible, punished, as they put it.
So, amidst all these demands, these questions, these protests, where did the official investigation land?
Eventually, after some time, the medical examiner's office released their findings. They ruled the cause of death as hanging and the manner of death as suicide.
Suicide. Back to the initial claim, despite all the questions raised, how did the family take that?
They rejected it vehemently. They keep pointing to those inconsistencies in the police stories from the beginning, the lack of transparency they feel they've faced.
That question still hangs heavy for them. How does an 18-year-old go from a family barbecue to dying in police custody?
It's a question that, for them, the official ruling just doesn't answer satisfactorily.
Is the investigation technically still open?
The NYPD's Force Investigation Division is reviewing it, yes. Police say it's ongoing. But it's important to remember, sources noted the family hadn't even seen Saniyah's body for a while after her death.
And the autopsy results took time too. That delay, that lack of access, it just deepens the distrust, doesn't it?
It absolutely fuels their doubts about the official conclusion.
And you mentioned earlier, this isn't happening in a vacuum. There's a broader context here.
Yeah, sadly. Sources really emphasize this feeling that, quote, we've all seen what has been happening in jails, in prisons across the nation, and specifically in New York.
Where people in custody have been harmed.
Brutalized, murdered, and assaulted in like fashion. That's the quote. Saniyah's death, especially with the conflicting stories and the family's disbelief, it really taps into those larger fears about safety and accountability in custody.
It feels like a pattern that people are recognizing.
A pattern where the official story often clashes with what families experience or believe happened, leading to these big questions about, well, transparency again, oversight.
Which is why it feels so important that these stories don't just fade away.
Exactly. There's a real fear, mentioned in our sources, that these stories die over. People get upset, maybe protest, but then life moves on until the next tragedy.
So sustained attention is key. Continued pressure from the community.
Yes. That pressure and the demand for hard evidence, like the video footage, that seems to be crucial.
It really comes back to transparency, doesn't it? Building trust or rebuilding it requires openness, especially when someone dies in state custody.
When that's missing, when accounts change and videos withheld, those demands for answers are only going to get louder.
So as you listen to this, think about Saniyah Cheatham's case. The initial claim of suicide, then medical emergency, then suspicious, only to land back on suicide by the medical examiner.
And a family that completely rejects that finding, still demanding to see the video evidence to understand how this young woman died.
It leaves us with a heavy question, doesn't it? When official stories clash so strongly with family accounts and when potentially crucial evidence like video isn't released.
What's our collective responsibility as a society? How do we demand accountability and ensure investigations are truly impartial, especially when it's a young life lost under these circumstances? Something to think about.